goes back to high school. It was my senior year, which would have meant it was her junior year. And I remember seeing this nerdy girl. She was wearing a sweater vest. She was cute, and she didn't notice me at all.
Our brothers were friends ahead of time. He knew my brother and knew that my brother had a sister and everything. I knew his brother. I knew that his brother had, other brothers, but I never knew who they were or even what they looked like or anything. And there's two of them, so I probably should have picked up on that at some point, but I never did.
After high school, her group of friends kind of crossed with my group of friends when I was at Broome and she was at Binghamton, and I still had a crush on her then, and I don't think she knew.
Our friends would always say we'd end up talking together the whole night, and it would just always end up like Mike and Franny, doing their own thing, and even though we weren't dating or anything, I actually was dating somebody else at the time.
I was determined to break that up.
So it didn't really take off from there, but...
Where it first started for Franny and I was, it was my blue Ford Ranger pickup truck. I told her, you gotta learn how to drive stick. Everyone needs to learn how to drive it. And that's where we first bonded. I kind of taught her how to drive stick shift in a parking lot, and she did really well, surprisingly. And then a month or two later, I taught her brother, and he was awful.
Flash forward 4 years, so it was my senior year of college. We ran into each other and then we just kind of started texting, and then I went out of town and he asked me to go to dinner with him. And he specifically said it about being a date.
So the first date was to one of Franny's favorite restaurants and one of my least favorite restaurants, which was the Lost Dog Cafe. I remember she got scallops.
I got the penne alla vodka, which is my favorite dish pretty much anywhere. And they had, you have choice of shrimp, or you have choice of chicken, choice of scallops. And I thought of scallop potatoes, and I asked Mike specifically, why are they gonna put potatoes on this? This is kind of gross. And Mike was like, are you serious?
We officially started dating actually on her best friend's birthday, so it made a really easy anniversary to remember. Thank you, Ashley.
I know Mike he was gonna be moving to Albany for a job. And so I remember feeling kind of hesitant about that because it was we lived in the same town for 2 years, and then he went to Buffalo.
We saw each other intermittently on the times I was home, and we would hang out with each other when I was home.
And then I knew he was moving to Albany. I was like, well, maybe this isn't gonna evolve into anything. I remember I specifically didn't want to make it anything that was formal because of that distance. And then eventually Mike ended up posting something on Facebook about us being in a relationship. And I was like, oh, well, I guess here we go. All of our close friends from college commented on it, and they were like, well, this only took 4 years to happen, because everybody knew it was gonna happen at some point, and we were like the two that just were fighting it or something.
Some of the things that really attracted me to Franny was just the fact that she's so driven, and that it was helpful with me, being around when she was in that time where she was in school and also working a job, and it was nice to see that kind of drive in a person for success.
Everybody loves Mike. It takes the pressure off me because sometimes I'm not the best in social situations. I'm a little more quiet, and he's the life of the party, which I love because then I just kind of roll along with it. My freshman year of college, I think it was Alan and Liv, his sister-in-law, they asked me, what type of guy I liked or whatever, and I specifically said I wanted to date an engineer. And my biggest reason was I was like, yeah, it's mostly males that are in engineering, so they won't cheat on you because there's no women in that field. And they were like, that is a terrible reason to date an engineer, but that's how I felt. And now one of his brothers is married to a female engineer. But
she's also just, very caring, if someone's hurt or in need, she's there and, wants to be helpful and help them out. So the story behind I Love You is an interesting one. I kind of had a feeling that she was feeling that, and I had been feeling it for, weeks for that point. And we were sitting there, and she said she had to tell me something. Of
course, I made it very awkward because that's just my flair for every social situation. I just couldn't get it out. I couldn't say it, and I don't know why. And he must have known how I was feeling because he was just like, I love you too, Fran. I think from there on out, I don't remember any more really awkward things in our relationship. It was more, us maybe making other people feel awkward, but not between us.
We first moved in together, it was North Carolina when we officially lived together, because when we stopped doing long distance, that was when I came back to Binghamton. she was still living at home, and then I had my rental property. We spent nights, staying over at each other's places, that kind of thing, but never quite lived together until we moved to North Carolina. Mrs. Gallant will appreciate this. It was financially convenient for us to live together in North Carolina because it's a very expensive place to live.
Like just going to the grocery store and stuff was like, oh, this is so great. Like we get to plan our week together. And I mean, and it sounds so simple, but for us, because we, did long distance for a year when he was in Albany. We did long distance when I was in Charlotte for a year and a half. So like those simple things were amazing.
I had someone to clean up after me. That's always nice too, but she got someone that could cook for her. So, we each scratch each other's backs.
In my family, this is how clean my family is. I'm the messy one, and all of my friends think I'm neurotic, like Monica from the TV show Friends. Yeah, I'm that bad. Mike is like total polar opposite. I think that's why we mesh so well together too, because I am very like structured, organized, and he needs a little bit of that, and I need a little bit of his like, Franny, chill, relax, take it down a notch. So I think we help kind of mesh with that.
So I think one of the strongest, bricks in our relationship, or kind of one of those when I knew that this was, the real deal, is it was actually when my grandfather passed. And Franny, came to the service with me, and it was the first funeral / big kind of family event, where I had a significant other there, and she, was just there for me, and I mean that meant a lot to me.
So he proposed in Seattle. I really did not think it was going to happen.
Talked with her friends a lot. I talked with her parents a lot, and I really wanted to make it special.
Nobody asked me to get my nails done ahead of time. My close friend Ashley, who I know he would have talked to, like if he was gonna talk to anybody, he was gonna talk to Ashley, was like, Franny, I just don't want you to get your hopes up. Like I want you to be able to enjoy this trip. I really don't think he's gonna do it. Like just enjoy the trip. So we're in Seattle, and then we ended up going to the pier, and Mike all of a sudden was like, shoot, I think it was his phone. I don't have my phone. And we were gonna take a picture because the sun was setting and it was just absolutely gorgeous out. And so he ran back and left me there just like sitting with his coat, and I'm like, okay.
I wanted to make sure I had it on GoPro, and I forgot to turn on the GoPro when I did it. So I had a lady take a picture of the shot as I did it, and I was really hoping she would take a beautiful shot, and I think she just kind of got distracted and just, basically got my shoes.
He comes back, he's like, here, come over here, let's take a picture.
A year into us dating, I had made us a little book of the story of our first year of dating, and it just kind of had the high points of, our first year of dating and our little story about us. For this trip, I made the same sort of book, but it was the continuation, we'll call it a chapter 2 of the first book. But then the last chapter of it mentioned about me getting down on one knee and proposing.
I see this lady over here, and she's like looking at us, and she has a phone out, and then Mike's on a knee, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening?
That was when, she turned around and I was on one knee and proposing.
The whole day, apparently, too, he had the ring in his pocket because he didn't want to leave it in the hotel. And whenever I'm cold, I always put my hands in his pocket, and he's like, you were centimeters away from touching that ring box the entire day.
So seeing as we just bought a house, I hope to see us in that house for the next, 5 to 10 years. We really like it down there in Charlotte.
The one thing that Mike and I both really love that we have in common is traveling. So I know the next probably 2-3 years, that's something we really want to do before we have kids.
I just see us kind of, growing together and, eventually starting a family, and then, just coaching kids, whatever sports they do, that sort of thing.
He's gonna be such a good dad.
2 would be ideal, girl and a boy. Definitely not 4 boys. I feel bad for my mom with that one.
We both really want to have a family and have kids, so I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Hey, Franny. I knew I loved you from the day I met you in high school with your little ugly sweater vest. I can't wait to grow old with you and spend the rest of our lives together, wherever that takes us, whether it's North Carolina or if we go to the Pacific Northwest or if we come right back to Binghamton. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. And
I just want to say that I'm so excited to be starting our lives together and having everyone here get to witness us beginning our lives. I'm so happy that we finally, after all these years, got it together and are gonna get to spend the rest of our lives with each other and have a family and fix up our house and just go on all of these adventures together. I can't imagine having a better person to be with and to have all of these simple moments be so great and so special. And like I said, you're the perfect person for me, and I can't imagine being with anyone else. I love you.